press freedom indices over time. How have we been performing as a country? How do you think we'll perform when your new report comes out?
I think it's going to be terrible because most skyrocketing numbers around election years. But this time around, we anticipate that things will even be worse, going by this very by-election. Before, it would be mistaken identities, like I said, yeah? But here where there is deliberate targeting of members of the press, certainly means that media houses will learn how to cope and deploy relatively fewer journalists in the field, those that are not blinded, like my friend Kasumba here said, maybe with very sophisticated gadgets that no one will be able to identify you because you're operating under immense fear of being seen as a journalist by not anyone else, but the goons and men in uniform. It will have a very big dent and scar on the operations of the media going forward. It will affect so much the political command center because maybe that is what is scaring people. If you're a commanding center and out in the field, how far can you command? People impute motives that you really think are far-fetched because the fact that they were targeting, this is Hakimu Wampamba. How did these goons even get to know that this is Hakimu Wampamba? They have never interacted with him. He has never interviewed them. He's not a notorious person for that matter, and they're able to know him. This is Abuluboa, and they say these ones belong to the drone, Kabugo and Raymond, because they normally identify them maybe doing support interventions for journalists that are victims and maybe covering the political opposition. So it will have a lot of impact on how elections are going to be covered, especially the political opposition, whether they will be given any highlights or not. But also, most importantly, it is going to have a very million-dollar question for the Electoral Commission that is always in charge of elections. Going by yesterday's process for the last 2 weeks, you certainly know that it has no power or command and control when it comes to elections.
Do you feel like for some reason it let down the journalists yesterday?
We didn't see, because initially when the first series of attacks came out, especially for Ibra, Miracle, and a few others, we said, okay, let the Electoral Commission make a standing gesture of sympathy for the journalists. At least call off elections for campaigns for just 1 day and say until normalcy returns, we are not able to conduct the electoral processes normally. And this can't be talked of as a free, fair, credible process of elections. But the Electoral Commission kept watching on to the bitter end. So this is a very high call on them now to see how to assert themselves. They were suspiciously and mysteriously silent. You do not be in charge of a process where other forces usurp your powers and you're comfortable unless you are in connivance, which is very likely. Because if at least throw your arms in the air for people to see that you are desperate, that you are helpless, so we'll know how to even contend with the forces, as opposed to you sitting comfortably, watching over as though things were normal. What Wampamba said, the results don't reflect that process. Where Segrinya gets 40,000 and now here somebody's getting a pantry, less than even half of the numbers. Somebody's getting 32 votes, others. You certainly know that we have a lot of work to be done. Not as journalists to impact elections, but as the electoral body, but also as government. If you're going to have elections in the next few months, here you have a litmus test, and this is what it produces. You certainly know that a lot has to be done, and what has to be done is very clear. How do you demilitarize elections? Yeah? What is the position of the military in elections? What is its impact on the results? Because if you're scaring people, who are you going to use to vote? Maybe the other hand had a grand plan that if the cameras are not watching us, we can bout stuff. Yeah? We can stuff ballots. We can rig. We can manufacture results and declare. But how did we even get here for elections to be a do or die matter.
Right.
Yeah? How do you win over the confidence of the journalists, of the electorate in Uganda, of other peers who even come to observe elections? What are going to be the election reports, observation reports? What are they going to look like? And then at the end of the day, they're going to say observers are biased. And you're going to see a limited number of accreditation for observers in the general elections, going by what is happening here.
All right, let's take a break. When we return,